I would have loved to just like continue with Tracy on the experience she had this morning, because this is a whole topic for me that is about mental health. And she brought it up earlier about mental health and being, having my background in public health and studying this for, years. It is so important to be able to understand what mental health is, as well as recognizing signs when somebody needs help. What most people don't understand is that asking for help is a sign of strength, whereas they feel like it's a sign of weakness. And so they don't want to come out and ask for help. And so what Tracy had to do this morning and laying off, a group of individuals, um, it takes a toll. It takes a toll on everyone. It takes a toll on the person being laid off. It takes a toll on the person that had to make the decision to do the layoffs, and then the person that's in the room doing the layoffs, right? Let alone maybe this person that was laid off is the best friend to someone who gets to stay. And so, like, I just want to hear so much more about, how you would handle that, Tracy. How would you, if you knew it was going to cause a big kerfuffle, would you bring consultants in? What would you do? So, like, this isn't a whole nother topic for me.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many different dynamics and ways to approach that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is really complex. And every company, handles it differently depending on the circumstances too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, the thing when a company goes through a layoff situation, one thing that I remind leaders about is that they might have been considering this or struggling with the decision and really looking at the impacts and consequences of who is affected for a while. But you want to be mindful of the individual that is on the receiving end of that message. To them, it's unexpected. They're not prepared. There's often shock. I really feel it's so important to treat that individual with respect, with compassion. Just I always like to shift perspective and think, what if that was me on that receiving end, or someone, my husband, my son, someone that was very close to me? How would I want them to be treated? And I do my best to communicate in that fashion, because I know that it makes an impact. Your livelihood, so much of our own persona can be wrapped up in our position and what we do. And I think it's really important to, keep that in mind in how we're handling this situation. And also keep it in mind for the people that are left in the organization, because for them, it's like a sense of grief or loss. Sometimes they've had close relationships with those affected individuals. It might be their office mate or someone they sat next to or someone they used to go to lunch with. And so being mindful that it's a process. They're just getting this information. They're going to need time to absorb it. They're going to need, space to feel like they can grieve that change and that loss, and then to be able to come to acceptance and then moving forward. But it's not done in one day. It's going to be a process, and I think we want to always consider that and check in on the people that remain in the organization and make sure that they're doing okay. Make sure to answer their questions on, what does this mean about my job? How am I affected? What do I need to do? And how can I help? How can I help the organization so that we can all move forward together?
Yeah.
They say that adversity breeds strength. And so it is an opportunity to look at, making sure your team knows that you care about them, you want to motivate them, and that there is opportunity to continue to be successful.
Does that include counseling? I just wonder. And the reason I share this is, as you know, you've helped my daughter with her new position, getting her new position, but the position she was with before, when she was hired on in the first 3 weeks, they asked her to let go 20% of the company. I mean, she's a brand new person. She's, just below the C-suite at this point, and she's got to let go 50 people. And, she called me up and days of conversation and talking through these things. And she felt horrible. And she really didn't have the coping skills in order to deal with the aftermath and the grief. And she really felt like it was a huge loss for her. Though she'd only known a lot of these people for 3 weeks, she wasn't prepared and didn't have the training to lay them off. And so it appears to me like there could be more counseling services or transitional services brought in during this process. Is that something that employers are doing now?
It really depends on the organization. I would say it depends on the size and also, who is currently on the leadership team. Sometimes you might have individuals who are more seasoned, who've gone through this process and they have a lot of good suggestions on how to approach it. But in other cases, having that external party can be really helpful because like me coming in, I don't know the individuals. I don't have anything personal, in how things are approached, but I can give good suggestions about it. And so in that type of situation, we're able to provide suggestions and guidance maybe to the C-suite or the leaders in charge of the decision. And we can maybe give some of the suggestions or guidance that might be harder for someone internally to deliver. If we are, for example, saying, well, I really recommend you do it a different way. It might be harder for someone internal sometimes to have that conversation, but we can bring that external perspective. And I do think that if it is possible, it is really helpful to provide career transition services to individuals who are laid off or let go. It helps them to move into action, to really feel like they have support and someone who will guide them through to being able to find another position more quickly. I know that sometimes it's not always possible because of the financial circumstances that might lead to a layoff, for example. But if it is something a company can consider, I do believe it sends a good message both to the people that are receiving the benefit and also for people that are in the organization to know they really helped to, let my coworker transition as successfully and gracefully as possible.
And do you work with employers on helping develop their benefit package in terms of what to recommend? And is mental health facilities and counseling available in the benefit packages?
Good question. I know that a lot of times health brokers can be a great source of suggestions in terms of like core benefits and how those are structured. From an HR perspective, I really look at the whole benefit package and what is the company providing. And I would say that having a well-being program and something that focuses on mental health, really that focuses on the whole person. So looking at, maybe it's fitness and nutrition and it's self-care. It's, looking at the financial wellness, all the different aspects and components that make up what's the support system for the employee. When you do that, I think it's such a differentiator and you can look at, beyond a standard employee assistance program that comes with your insurance plan. Can you add additional, instead of your normal 3 sessions, can you add more? I think 3 sessions could go pretty quickly, but if individuals are working through things, if you can enhance what you're offering, that's going to be something that stands out. And again, it helps them to feel like, oh, wow, my company goes above and beyond, and they do a lot of things that are pretty special, and that's going to be one of the reasons that I want to stay working here.
Yeah, one of the things we do talk about is what can you provide your employees that you currently have, because hiring a new employee and the training is so expensive. It is super expensive and you don't know if it's going to stick. You might be 2.5 months in, you've given all this energy into it. You've also used another employee or two to help train them. And so really taking that a little step further and sharing how much they could save by putting just a bit more money to each one of their packages can really create a well received environment for a new person to join or people to stay. I think that's a really good
Yes,
point.
absolutely. I think it really does make a difference. And yeah, I think there's so many things, different opportunities. And, for companies, it can be overwhelming, but when you partner with the right people, I think they make the steps easy and digestible. And, it's building blocks. I look at it as, you build your strong foundation first, but then you might improve one room in the house and then you move on and improve another area. That's the thing that I love about HR. We're always able to look at, is there something else that we can be doing? And, constantly looking at improving is one of the things that I really love about what I get to do. And I enjoy working with different companies to do that.
And you're really good at it. And whether, someone's trying to grow or they have to reduce in staff, you are a great resource for any company to make that as palatable as possible. Growing pains are
No,
hard
thank you.
and
Thank you
reduction
so
pains
much.
are hard. No,
That
you
means
are
a
my
lot.
go-to. I love how much expertise that you have and how level-headed you are, and the fact that you're thinking of all different sides. It's not just the employer versus employee, but there's other people involved here. It's families, it's relationships between coworkers, whether it's um, on the line or in an office environment, or it could be a building environment. And so maybe someone has made best friends with someone on another floor, and they're going to take that away. So it's really important to that you're taking all the looks at this around, and very much appreciated. And I wish
Absolutely.
you the best on the rest of this these reductions. I know it's really hard.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.